Henry Kwek.
Mr. Speaker, sir, we currently are at the height of the Omicron wave. I know many residents who contacted Omicron or know somebody who has. But Omicron too will pass. If the experience of US and Europe is applicable, Singapore will be in a better shape within weeks or months. And once we get past Omicrons, experts globally have forecasted a period of relative stability for this year compared to the challenging last 2 years. Therefore, it is time for us to start planning for how to encourage Singaporeans involved in COVID management to go back to their industries. When COVID first struck around budget 2020 period of time, I asked the government to hire more displaced Singaporeans, especially mid-career Singaporeans. There are others who made the same suggestion. Our government wisely hired many Singaporeans to implement SMM, to supplement our healthcare and social services, and to help our migrant workers cope. Now with Omicron, the situation is now quite different. A large part of our SMM may no longer be as effective in preventing the contagious Omicron, and we have to learn to coexist with COVID. And today, most of our industries are in a much better shape compared to 2020 and 2021. In fact, some industries are experiencing a shortage of staff. This contributes to rising costs. This leads to higher domestic inflation. Of course, a large part of this inflation we see is largely due to global supply bottlenecks as well as surging energy costs. But getting a number of Singaporeans currently involved in COVID management back to the industries will certainly help our companies better manage manpower costs, thereby mitigating rising cost of living. Also, MOF spending has done an exceptional job in preventing economic scarring in the lives of our people. I believe it's also equally important that these Singaporeans I mentioned do not stay away from their respective industries for too long, which diminishes their skills in the long run. And this is all the more important because I believe our local labor supply will stop growing within a few years, even after the planned increase in retirement and re-employment ages. To be clear, I'm not suggesting everybody transiting back to their private sector from this group of people involved in COVID management. A core team can remain. The rest can transit back in phases based on whether their previous industries are ready for them and whether they need to be reskilled before going to a different one. We can also supplement this core team with non-Singaporeans from neighboring countries, much like how non-Singaporeans serve as APOs in some situations to supplement our SPF officers. And the non-Singaporeans involved in COVID management can be brought in using additional work pass or S pass, but with clear sunset clauses that their permits be tied to whether or not there's a continued need for COVID management. Now that brings me to my next point about reducing the cost and complexity for businesses through a decisive streamlining of SMM so as to fight rising inflation. Our MTF chairs have done a good job simplifying our SMM and health protocols as the virus evolves. Recently, our Minister for Finance and other MTF ministers have indicated they will do a thorough review of SMM after the Omicron wave subsides. I'm in full agreement. Let's go decisive on this. I hope our MTF can come up with a carefully considered list of no-go activities and settings, but allow everything else to proceed. Such clarity will help our civil servants achieve a quick, decisive, but effective relaxation of SMM when the time is right. My final point is about our SG Green Plan and our participation in climate change negotiations. Over the past few months, I've met a number of Singaporeans and international climate change groups and organizations. And recently, many of them told me they were absolutely delighted to hear about our new net zero pledge. And given that I have spoken on a number of occasions about the importance of carbon offsets and carbon trading, I'm also heartened to hear that our government is involved in the negotiation of Article 6 of COP26 because it unlocks the possibility for Singapore to fight climate change internationally while having this contribution potentially recognized under our National Determined Commitments or NDC. Article 6 as it stands today mentions bilateral negotiation, but based on my understanding, without mentioning a large number of details. Now, if bilateral negotiations determine how two countries, the one that contributes to the project and the other one where the project is based, split contributions to NDCs, to their respective NDCs, then I hope our government can start bilateral negotiation with a sizable number of countries, some from our immediate region and some from beyond. Doing so will ensure that our overseas climate contributions are not all in one single basket, so to speak, and will not be disadvantaged in negotiation with any one country in the future. Mr. Speaker, let me now conclude with a few general remarks on our budget. Many people I spoke to were relieved to hear that the GST increase will be staggered and only starting in 2023, especially given where inflation is today. Tax increases are never popular, but many Singaporeans acknowledge our pressing and fast-growing needs. Just to name a few, it's not just increasing healthcare costs, it's not just paying for aging infrastructure, it's not just investing for future capabilities, but let's not also forget that there will be less Singaporeans working in the future to support more people. Less taxpayers Singaporean taxpayers supporting more people. And by now, many Singaporeans are also aware that our uniquely Singaporean GST model is progressive. It is, in fact, a tiered GST system where the well-to-do pays more. Now, some careful observers are also heartened to see that the government took a number of other steps first before implementing the GST, which affects many Singaporeans. And these steps includes, 1, financing long-term lumpy infrastructure projects through bond. 2, transferring a sizable amount of MAS foreign reserve to GIC so that we can generate more future income through our reserves. 3, implementing wealth tax in a measured and practical way. And 4, getting the very successful contribute their fair share of income tax. Now, all this show that our government has listened carefully to people from all walks of life, balance our country's needs with the complex global situation, and come up with practical ways to make Singapore better. With that, I offer my strong support for this budget. Thank you.